Well, I just want you to be comfortable, Brian. That's all. Don't want you to overheat. Yeah. Um, before
Did you
we
want me
go,
to repeat all that?
just
I love you, man.
just
And I don't
as
want to
fresh.
tell you, man.
No, okay. So, you expressed your concerns about how I would take this, we'll call it critical, negative feedback, and I'm totally fine with it. In college, everyone who's watching, I my degree is in creative writing because I thought I was going to be the next great American novelist. I am not, by the way. I'm the great American marketer in corporate America. But in any event, the creative writing program that I took, you have to go through these workshops, and so you are constantly turning in work and giving it to everyone in the room, and then they marinate on it for I don't know how many days, and then they come back and they just criticize you. Well, no, they give you feedback, okay?
Right.
And the way it works is you don't get to say anything during the feedback process. You get to say whatever at the end of it. And so you're just like, ready to burst as someone is like tearing your thing apart, or
Right.
they don't know, they misread it or whatever. You just want to correct them like, no, you moron. So, and having gone through several years of that, it's not a problem for me to hear something from someone that totally takes what I wrote in a different direction. And, I think I'm mature enough and I have enough skill to recognize when something is cosmetic, when something, it's a point of view of the reader that, they don't have the whole picture. And so the feedback they're giving you is only, you have to look at it within that context through that
Right.
lens. So, Brian, I want you to feel completely comfortable with telling me anything. If you tell me, what, Renee, I thought this movie was going to be a different way, and now that I'm seeing it brought to life, it's not what I thought it was, and I really don't enjoy this. And that's fine. Then we can have that conversation. I think that'll be an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah. And I guess I never want to get there because I always want to enjoy it, and I always want to like where it's going. And this is, like I said, this is the first time that I kind of bumped against something that was major enough to make me go, uh-oh, I gotta have the talk with Renee now.
Sure.
That I was not looking forward to. So all day
Yeah.
I was like, how am I going to frame this, not offend a guy who, you've got this fantastic background in terms of your collegiate experience and your professional experience, but you and I are friends, and there's a bond there, and I don't want you to feel like, it's in any way a personal attack when I tell you something that I don't agree with like that.
So let me just add one more thing, which is, I think, the bigger point I wanted to make about my whole college experience, and that is in my upper division creative writing courses, one of the classes, we were asked by the professor to speak to the rest of the class about something about the writing process that would help educate them. So it was in effect, it was a way for us to kind of teach each other something about writing. And I got up there, and me, I've got the performer in me. I got it. We're all in a round room, or desks were all situated where we faced each other. I got up in the center like it was theater in the round, hello. And I walked around, that kind of thing. Anyway, I explained to them that I personally only want criticism. I don't care about the compliments.
Right.
And while I probably should have thought this out a little more, I just thought it was obvious why criticism is more effective than compliments. But everyone in the class didn't like the fact that I said this, because it was mostly, let me just compliment you about, and this is what everyone did. And I think they all took it as like a personal affront.
You're all doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So the next time I turned in a piece, oh man, you could hear them sharpening their knives, right? And so everything was just an insult. Oh. And later on, people would come up to me privately and apologize, like, oh, that was really unprofessional. We shouldn't have done that. Blah blah blah. And, I mean, I tried to stay professional myself and said, yeah, okay, I get it.
You're dead to me, but yeah.
Yeah, basically. But, here's the thing. I want to improve, and I always bring my best work to anything that needs to, if it's an event where I'm sharing my work, I always try to make it the very best it can be. So I don't need you to tell me that it's good or that certain things are good or whatever. Well, of course, I appreciate that. It doesn't help me improve. And if the point of the thing I'm participating in is for me to improve, then give me the criticism so that I know where the gaps are, what is weak, what needs to be shored up, that kind of thing. And it's not that I think that compliments are inherently valueless. My concern is that, just like criticism, it has to be constructive. If you just criticize someone, if you just insult them, that isn't constructive. That's of course destructive, and no one wants to hear that. If you can phrase it and tell me how to make it work or whatever, then of course I'll take that feedback and say, okay, you're bringing me solutions, right? A compliment does not have any of the constructiveness to it. It's just something for you to say because you have to say something. So if you can find a way to make it constructive, I don't know what that would look like. Like maybe, oh, I really like the way you wrote this thing. Let's have more of that. Maybe that's a way you could do it. But even then, I think that doesn't have as much value as constructive criticism. So that's all I wanted to say since we've been doing this. And I think this is our very first big disagreement.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying, by the way. And I only draw out the places where I really, if I'm enjoying it, I'm enjoying it. But if there's something that even goes above and beyond, I'll usually write there what I liked and why I liked it for you, because I do think that there is constructive criticism that is positive, in that there may be something that I wrote there that is perhaps it's an additional insight into a character. Okay, maybe I can do more things like that because that is resonating with the reader. So I think there's definitely some good that can come out of a compliment as well. But there are times I'll put on here just like ha 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 funny or something like that because I laughed, and I want you to know where I'm actually laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Just because I want you to somehow experience my read through of the script. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I try and be just constructive as well and say, even if it's not necessarily criticism, but more, what if we did this instead? You know what I mean? To me, that's not necessarily criticism. It's almost like spitballing, ideas. And I think this is a great venue for that as well. But anyhow, I guess my point to this whole thing is I really appreciate your open to this discussion and my input on it, because everything you just said sounds great, but logically, but emotionally, it's kind of shaky, because it's one thing for a classmate that you don't know to deliver that. It's another person that you've known for years to come in and say, I'm not sure about this idea. It doesn't really work for me, and I would imagine that it's going to have a little more weight to you, and it's going to have a little more weight, on me as well as because I have to deliver it to you. You know what I mean? Because we have that relationship. So
I think if I didn't respect you as much, Brian, then perhaps I'd be bothered by this, but I respect your opinion. So
it'd be funny at that point. You just cut me out and just start talking. It's just you. And if I didn't respect you so much, and you too, click. I feel the same way. I'm like frozen. All right.
Great. Well, I'm glad we hugged it out there. Yeah.
Hugging a meteorite right there, man. That felt good.
Swaddle it.